These three parents were struggling with their teenagers who were spinning out of control, and they wanted to find solutions that worked. Their persistence has clearly paid off. Yesterday at 2 p.m. our time in New Zealand was the first country to mark worldwide FASD Day in 2020. They have been doing so in New Zealand since 1999, a tribute to Teresa's pioneering communication work. Since its humble beginning in 1999, this event is now marked in at least 65 countries in all time zones in the world. Just as the early collaboration between three parents in Ottawa and Arizona has led to this global event today, you're about to hear about some important collaborations that will, we hope, also have far-reaching, long-lasting results. Thank you, Robin. Can't hear you, Robin.
Thanks. Thanks, David, for that and for sharing a little bit of the history there. FASD itself is a little bit of a unique disability. It doesn't present like a lot of other disabilities, and often a diagnosis of FASD can carry with it a lot of blame, a lot of shame, and stigma. And parenting or caring for somebody with FASD requires a huge shift in thinking about how things work and what normal can look like. And it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all. The panel today and this event today is
You lost your sound.
Do we have it back now? All right, perfect. So for those of you that know me, know this collaboration is close to my heart. I had the privilege of working for the Asante Centre a few years ago, and they are primarily known as a diagnostic and assessment center, but I'm so excited that we were able to collaborate with them and with John Howard and with parents and individuals with FASD to create awareness around FASD and bring forward with you guys this event. Is it still working? All right, yeah. Well, so now as we move forward, before we start sharing between the live panel members, I'd like to invite Ross Chilton, CEO of CLBC, to share his thoughts on International FASD Day.
Morning, everybody. Can you hear me? I'll take that as a yes. And thank you, David. Thank you, Robin. I'm calling in from the traditional territories of the Musqueam First Nations and the Coast Salish people. The actual local First Nation is the Kakite First Nations folks, and my understanding that they were virtually wiped out by an earlier pandemic, the smallpox pandemic. So you can certainly appreciate these unusual times in terms of how it's affecting First Nations groups. And thanks to Jay Birdie for giving me the opportunity to just come and share a few words as we kick off the hour and a half together. It is an important dialogue. I can tell you personally, my first experience with working with somebody with FASD was back when I was in my mid-20s, learning what not to do while working at the Maples Adolescent Treatment Center, because I worked with a number of youth there, but including folks with FASD. And what I recall from that time is that the things that we were trying to do and thought made perfect sense if we persisted with them simply just didn't work with somebody with FASD. So it was a real lesson in that one can have certain approaches to things, but then one needs to consider the actual individual and what they need and to adjust those. So families and service providers from our perspective are really key collaborators to make sure that the individuals that CLBC is involved with get the supports they need. I do want to particularly thank the Asante Centre for collaborating with us today for this webinar. It is challenging circumstances to do these things virtually, but I applaud you for going ahead to make it happen. So we are recognizing FASD Awareness Day this year by encouraging our staff to wear red shoes. If you can point me in the direction of a place where I could purchase such shoes, I would appreciate that. I don't know if that can be in one of the chats later, but if you can point me in that direction, I promise to have a pair by next year. So the campaign, of course, began in 2013 with RJ Formanek, an adult with FASD, who decided to wear red shoes to stand out and be noticed and have some fun starting the FASD conversation with strangers. You'll be aware that I've shared a message about International FASD Awareness Day on the CLBC website today, and we're promoting that awareness through a number of social media channels, and I encourage you to do the same. So though it's a small subset of the individuals with FASD in terms of the number of folks that CLBC is involved with, many of our staff have firsthand experience working with and getting to know an individual with FASD, their families, and their particular needs. Like all of the individuals we support, each person is an individual, and their needs are unique, their strengths are unique, and the qualities that they bring in terms of their families, friends, and communities are unique. So our support is through their personal supports initiative stream, intended to complement the other supports that individuals with FASD receive, including, most importantly, the natural supports that are present in all communities. That's why awareness, to my mind, is so important, to help educate the public and encourage people to become welcoming to people with FASD and to include them in all parts of the community, including in the workplace. We've made it a priority in our strategic plan, and that plan will be undergoing some work once we're able to do that in a way that's meaningful with key stakeholders, and it's represented in our multiple and complex needs group. So I want to recognize the dedication and commitment of our staff, but also staff of John Howard Society have shown every day to the individuals and families we support. I did have the opportunity in 2019 to visit the Willow Home and sort of see in action some of the great work going on there. Amazing stuff, and it's really something that when I look back to my time at the Maples, at least for that home, we've come a long way. So thank you again for joining the webinar, and I guess now I'll hand it back to Robin. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ross, so much for being a part of today and being able to share your experiences with FASD. And that's truly what we wanted to bring today to share with you, was our experiences and the experience of those with FASD and their families and those that support them, to be able to provide some perspective and some insight. Before we move into the panel discussion, I just want to acknowledge that I was supposed to have a co-facilitator here with me today. Unfortunately, he was unable to make it, and he ended up in the CREST program. And the reason I'm mentioning that today is twofold. I wanted to acknowledge his participation in the event and helping shape the material today. And I wanted to highlight how flexible we need to be when we're working with somebody with FASD. Oftentimes these things come up, and through no fault of their own, just as the result of the disability, and we need to learn how to adapt and be flexible and come up with plan, not just A and B, but C, D, E, and F, as David would say. That just wanted to share that bit with you guys. Now we're going to move into introducing our panel of speakers. I'd like to start by introducing Jay Birdie and John Stinson.
Thank you, Robin. Just wanted to, first of all, congratulate everyone and thank everyone for coming to the table and helping us to facilitate this session. My name is Jay Birdie, and my title is Director of Regional Operations for the South Fraser region. How I became interested in, just wanted to share that with you, is that about 7-8 years ago, I had the opportunity to meet one of the families, one of the strong families who was very dedicated, who helped with opening my eyes, and through that journey, we were able to look at how can we work together more effectively, and that at the end of the day, we felt that we're all in this together. So it's this spirit of working together, learning from each other, looking at the strengths of the individuals. That has given us, and particularly me, a great opportunity. And I'm really excited that as we move forward through this process, we'll have more to learn from each other. So that's the area of passion, and that's what keeps me the energy to support this process. Thank you. John?
Hi, it's John Stinson. I don't know if you want to see me. It's probably best if you don't. I'll turn on my camera momentarily, then I'll turn it back off so people don't have to suffer. I'm the Vice President of Operations. I just entering the third month in the job, and very excited to be part of CLBC. FASD has touched my life both through on a personal level, and my niece adopted 2 children live with FASD, and they are young men now who are doing very well in their lives, and so it's a pleasure to know them. And in the beginning of my career, 3 years ago, I started out as a street outreach worker in the city of Winnipeg with Clinic Community Health Centre, and a large population that I interacted with were folks living on the street who were living with FASD, and it impacted me in a way that as I moved through my job there as a street outreach worker, we worked on designing more programs that help connect folks who are living with FASD with our programs at Clinic Community Health Centre. So it's my pleasure to be here today, and really exciting that South Fraser pulled this together on International FASD Day. So thanks everyone for letting me be part of this. I guess now let's get to it.
Thanks, John. I just wanted to now turn the microphone over towards Caitlin Taves and Tracy Block. They're both from the Asante Centre, and yeah, I'd love to introduce you to these 2 ladies.
Thank you. Well, hello everyone. Good morning. On behalf of the FASD Society for BC, the governing body of the Asante Centre, we're honored to be here today to celebrate FASD Awareness Day. My name is Tracy Block, and I'm the Interim Executive Director. Celebrating its 20th year, the Asante Centre's multidisciplinary team provides assessments and diagnoses, support, education, and resources to clients with lived experiences of FASD and other neurodevelopmental challenges and their families. And we look forward to celebrating their strengths and successes with you today. Caitlin?
Hi, my name is Caitlin, and I'm the Operations Director at the Asante Centre. I've had the honor of working at the Centre for about the last 8 years, and I came here initially working with families to support them through the assessment process. Being the sibling of somebody on the autism spectrum, neurodiversity was and continues to be something very close to my heart, but nothing could have prepared me for the impact that working with families and individuals who have FASD would have on my life. My views, my thought process, everything has shifted for me. I think the biggest shift has been an understanding of the importance of assessment and diagnosis. Assessment and diagnosis is incredibly important, not just for eligibility for services like the PSI program with CLBC, but I think it's even more important for an individual to know what's going on for them. So to be able to grasp the why behind some of the things that they might find challenging, and to have an outside person validate their strengths and hopefully point out some that they didn't realize they had in the first place. We do see a lot of hesitation around assessment and diagnosis of FASD because of the stigma it can carry, and often people feel a little hesitant to put a label on themselves or their kids. And as a parent, I totally get that, but I also get that the people who come through our doors often already have wildly incorrect labels that they're carrying with them, like lazy or defiant or stupid. And I personally believe that providing proper assessment and appropriate diagnosis helps the person and those working with them replace those incorrect labels with understanding and strengths-based strategies. Anyway, I am so grateful to be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing from the rest of the panel. Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin. Thanks, Tracy. And the next person I'd like to introduce you to is Jen from the John Howard Society of the Pacific Region.
Hi, I'm Jen Hirsch. As Robin said, I'm Jen Hirsch. I'm from John Howard Pacific Region, formerly known as John Howard of the Lower Mainland. I'm the Director of Community Living Services. I'm 100% humbled and honored for this opportunity, not only to raise awareness about FASD, but to learn from those living with FASD each day. So thank you for allowing me to be here and to be a part of this and to be able to share and raise awareness. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen. And now I just want to turn the camera over to our final two panel members, David Gary and Tim Wendell.
Hello, everyone. I'd first like to acknowledge that we're in different places on unceded territory lands. And thank you to Jay and Robin for taking the initiative and bringing us together on this important day. My FASD journey began innocently enough in 1999. At the time, my wife Grace was working with a young brother and sister who had already been in too many foster homes. We were then asked by the ministry to foster them for 12 months, and that 12 months turned into 11 years. And it was largely out of enlightened self-interest that I co-founded a charity dedicated on Vancouver Island to FASD. We set up the first pediatric and then adult diagnostic clinic on Vancouver Island. And I have co-founded a similar group in Ireland to support those with FASD and their families. Importantly, in all this journey, over the past 7 years, I've been privileged to work on Willow Place with Tim Wendell, Jen Hirsch of the John Howard, and her staff, and all of those from CLBC who've been supporting us so well. And since we all spend 80% of our lives as adults, housing those with prenatal alcohol exposure for the majority of their lives is a very important challenge for us all to get right. As you're going to hear, this 7-year journey has provided a lot of insights and taught us many important lessons on how to create long-term housing options for those with neurodiverse challenges, particularly starting with FASD. So thank you for the opportunity. Over to you, Tim.
Thanks, Dave. I had to follow you. I haven't done all the stuff David has done. I'm a parent of a daughter who is affected by FASD. And I want to start off by really thanking Robin for putting this together, assembling this, the people on the panel and all the people that helped, and all the help from CLBC and the John Howard Pacific region, and everyone else involved, the Asante Centre, Caitlin and Tracy. Thank you all for doing this. This is really near and dear to my heart. I'm very passionate about making a difference. All these people have worked in the background and they're very humble about it, but they've worked passionately to help my daughter to have a better life. So she's in a really good place right now. She's 34 years old and she's doing extremely well because of the support she has around her. Having the right support makes all the difference in the world to anybody, but specifically with FASD because it's very little understood. So we're learning how to support them better, and we have a bunch of committed people that are in on that. So there's a whole army of people doing this, and it's just an honor for me to be involved with them and to help out in any way that I possibly can, as a family member and as somebody who is very passionate about this. So thank you for allowing me to be here.
All right, thanks everyone. So that is our panel today. We're going to hear from a variety of different perspectives around FASD. And I'd just like to say that all the thanks that was given to CLBC and all the others on the panel, I want to say thank you to you guys too, because this event never would have come together without you guys as well. It really does take a community to be able to support somebody with FASD and to learn from them and understand. And I'm excited to be a part of that community. I just wanted to start out by sharing a little bit about the material that we're going to be showing you today. We really wanted to showcase the voices of people with FASD and give them a platform where they're able to share their experiences and not just the negative experiences and the challenges that they might have, but some of their strengths, what they really like to do. Oftentimes FASD is followed with a lot of negative things, what you can't do, right? You know, and diagnostically, when we're looking at that, we're quite often looking at deficits in certain areas, but we also have to take time to celebrate some of the things that people with FASD are really good at and their strengths and build off of those to be able to move forward. So I would like to invite David and Tim to introduce their daughters who are going to be sharing with us about their strengths and some of the things that they're really passionate about and their experiences.
Shall I go, Tim?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I think you're going to hear some clips from our daughter Angel. And one of the things in reflecting on this process that came to me is she has had a lifelong interest and passion and enthusiasm for learning. And there were some bumps along the way, but let me share with you a story when I think she was in about grade 2. And she insisted on lugging an encyclopedia back and forth to school. It was it was big and heavy, and because it had snakes in it. And apparently when we met with the primary school teacher, her classroom teacher, the teacher was telling us how she was telling the class when recess would be, where they hung the coat. She was doing all the administrative stuff. And Angel popped up out of her seat and said to the teacher, come on already, a girl's got to go to college, you know? So Angel has always had this desire, I think, has had a genuine interest in educating, and you'll hear from her later in a lovely clip. Not only how dedicated she is to that learning, but the goals to which she achieves and aspires through that. Tim, your turn. Can't hear you. Mute, unmute.
I'm unmuted. Can you hear me now? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. My daughter, yeah, we did a video with her, and I just want to say how proud I am of how far she's come. She's overcome, she was undiagnosed later in life when she was 19. So we knew challenges were there growing up, but we didn't know what they were about. So getting diagnosis was very, very helpful in that we could understand you know, what her challenges might be, and we could help her with that, support her the right way. It took a long time to do that, to understand, but that came learning from her, basically. So she's talking about things that she loves, and she loves so many things. I've learned so many things from her that I have of any other person on the face of this earth. She's taught me a lot of things, how to be in the moment, how to be loving, how to be forgiving, things that a lot of us overlook. She looks for ways to include people rather than to divide, like we seem to be doing in society right now. So yeah, I think I've learned more from her than, you know, I thought I would teach her. So right now she's in a really, really good place, and there's a lot of things she loves, and she just looks at all the great things in life, and I wish I had that gift.
Thanks, David. Oh, sorry, go ahead, David.
I had another thought. How many of you could put up your hands if I asked the question, has your kid made up a song, a tribute to his or her classroom teacher? I don't remember how old Angel was, but she made up a song for her teacher at Okanorka School, whose name was Mel, and the song was called The Lovely Mel. So not many in life make such tributes, and especially as kids. So that's part of the precious part, I think, that Tim is alluding to. They give us a perspective that we so often, we just don't have time to stop and smell the roses, and these guys are a great reminder to do so. Thanks.
That's an excellent point that you make, David, and Tim too. I'm sure that can resonate with all of you guys who have worked with somebody who's been diagnosed with FASD or suspected of having FASD. They just have the most incredible empathy and the largest hearts, and they're able to see things through a perspective that we're not all as lucky to be able to see things from. Yeah, I'm hoping that piece also comes through in the videos that we share today. Jonah, are you able to share the videos that were recorded?
I got kids and elders and animals. Don't make my family. Hot yoga, opposite, peaceful, and listening to music.
What kind of music?
Any kind?
Hip hop and country?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like all kinds. I always hear different kinds coming from your room. And what about baseball? Why do you love it so much? Because you're good at it?
I'm good at it.
Yeah. And what position do you usually play?
First base.
first base and your batting? Are you good at batting?
Yeah. So things that make me happy are getting up in the morning and getting to work on time. At the end of the day, coming home, having friends and family to greet me and tell me how proud they are of my accomplishments. Brushing my cat, taking a shower, long walks, riding my bike with friends, and going for dinner dates with my husband.
I'm good at art, and I'm thoughtful and care about others. I overcame shyness by playing baseball, and I'm a good mom.
So how old is your son?
13.
He's 13, so you've been his mom for 13 years?
Yes.
And you guys are pretty close because he comes over all the time and you spend time with him. What's your favorite thing to do with him?
Watching our shows.
What shows do you watch?
90 Day Fiance.
Oh yeah, you guys love that one. And what else? And art, what kind of art do you do? Do you do painting or?
Just drawing.
Drawing and all that kind of stuff. And your mom was good at art too, right?
Yeah.
So something that makes you happy too, you were saying your family?
Yeah.
So who's your family?
My son and my dad and Barb and my mom.
Yeah, and you have 2 sisters as well, right? Yeah.
So my strengths are being able to read people. I used to work at a B&B, and we had a secret shopper come in, and he was probably writing reviews on our business. And by the questions and his body language, I was able to go to my boss and say, well, we need to give this guy special attention. He's going to be writing a review about us. And she asked, well, how do you know? I said, just the amount of questions about our business and our upkeep. And she said, okay. And about a day later, a review popped up saying the staff and the service was stunning. And we got a 5-star review from that same guy. So the things that I'm proud of, my grades in school when I was younger, I got lots of A's, $50 for each A. That motivated me. Good grades in my college classes as I got older. I'm studying to be a journalist, and I want to be able to speak for people who can't speak for themselves or uncover truths that don't want to be dug up. I want to travel and bring light to places that don't have it, in a sense as people who don't have fresh water, people that are ignored by the government, and I'm very proud to be able to think for other people than myself.
Thank you, Jonah, for sharing those videos. That was great. I've seen those video clips a few times now, and no matter how many times I watch them, my face always lights up like it's the first time I'm seeing it, and it just makes my heart so happy to hear people talk about how they feel included in the community, how they feel when they interact with people they love, with their friends, when they talk about things that they're proud of. The first time I watched those videos, there was a few things that stuck out for me. One of the things was the community inclusion piece, and how that seems to be echoed through the voices of everyone I meet who has FASD in that importance. The fellow who was supposed to be co-presenting with me here today, he also had done some videos that unfortunately the sound didn't work on, so we weren't able to use, but community inclusion was a large piece of his purpose in life, and things that he did to feel included centered around his community, and that was really important. So yeah, that was an interesting theme to pick up on. Another thing that I wanted to share with you guys that might blow the myths around FASD out of the water was around Angel talking about her grades in school and her academics. And around Ali being a mom, there's a lot of conversation that you can't be a parent if you have FASD. You can't go to university. You can't pursue a career if you have FASD. And it's really important to recognize the diverse abilities of people with FASD and the strengths that they have and how they can do things that other people can do with support. and oftentimes on their own as well. So yeah, because community inclusion is such a large part of the work that we all do and what we all share, I wanted to get David and Tim's perspective around things that they do to try and create inclusive communities for their daughters. David, I don't know if you want to start. Maybe you could share with us a few of the things that you do to help support Angel in the community and help build an inclusive community for her to be a part of.
Well, I'd segue a little bit. What I've seen that's so hopeful with Angel, who's here with us today watching, is she's grown in insight and capacity. And so what's so hopeful to me is knowing that, contrary to what used to be believed, that FAS is permanent and irreversible, what we now know is there's resiliency in the brain. And Angel, you're showing a lot of insight when you say, if you're driving, you can't have the radio on, or nobody can talk to you, or you shouldn't drive at night, that you're aware of challenges you face and you're figuring out strategies. And that's reflected in the research that we know that there's a delayed development, perhaps in the brain. And the good news for everybody watching and listening to this is that the brain will come into its own just a little bit later. Normally this growth would happen at 15 or so. So I'm seeing evidence of it every time I see you, Angel, and it's wonderful to see. She has her own network in her partner and is actually becoming quite a resource for her family too. She's it's just amazing what's happening. Tim, your turn.
Okay, thanks, David. It's always great talking and hearing about your daughter. It's inspiring to me. So my daughter has overcome a lot of obstacles. Pretty much, the day she was born, she was told she was different. Society never really included her in much, and society can be very mean when you're different. I'm sure we've all felt that at different times in our life, but that's for her almost entire life. She's been shut out and told she's not like everybody else. So it is absolutely wonderful for me to see, with the right kind of supports put in place, that she's able to once again be part of society. So she went from being able to do really nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, and getting in with the wrong crowd, into joining baseball, being on a baseball team for the last 6 years, also doing hot yoga and aquafit and things with animals. I mean, she just loves life now, and she's allowed. We've created, through CLBC, through the John Howard Society, we've created an environment that allows her to grow. And what a wonderful thing, what a wonderful gift to give to somebody, the opportunity to grow and shine. She's never been able to do that, and late in life it's happening for her, and as a father I'm just amazed and more than happy to watch her growth. And it changes every single day. She becomes more insightful, more included, and I think our goal as parents is to make sure when we have to leave the planet that our daughter's going to be taken care of. I didn't have that for a very long time because my daughter was very close to me and nobody really understood her. But all these people taking an interest, and there's a whole army that's happening. I'm very confident she's going to be okay, and that's all I need to know. And she deserves that. So I'm very thankful for all the support she's received.
Thank you guys so much for sharing. That's really touches my heart too. Even for my niece, thinking about community inclusion for her growing up and the importance of at a young age building off of her strengths and being able to help build her confidence and help give her a platform to move forward with and to succeed with, because so often we're told that you don't fit into this box. To be able to try and make the box work for them is a whole different way to do things. We're going to segue now into a little bit more of a live panel discussion between Jen, Tim, and David, and we're going to talk about a few things from a service provider approach and from a parent approach. When we put together this event, we had a little bit, we had some questions that we wanted to ask that that could provide some insight into how we could better do our jobs and better support people in the community. So I just want to find my questions first. Where did they go? I just wanted to help facilitate some questions between David and Tim and get a little bit more of their perspective on what it might be like to parent and support somebody with a neurodevelopmental diversity from a parent perspective. So when we had got together, we had come up with some questions that we thought might be useful. And the first question I wanted to ask was, as a parent of an adult with FASD, what are your worst fears and what are your greatest hopes for your daughter? And I think Tim already alluded a little bit to a point around, like, we want to make sure that our kids are okay when we leave this world. And I don't think that's different for any parent. I think that we want our children to be loved and safe and successful in whatever they love to do. But yeah, Tim and David, over to you guys.
I'll go first this time, David. Time to think. Well, one of my worst fears, of course, is that the world doesn't understand my daughter. My daughter doesn't understand the world, and that's not a very nice place to be. So, like I said, gathering support and collaboration is so important. I love my daughter with all my heart, but I alone cannot be the whole support system. I can be part. And that's my message across this. It's collaboration, and it doesn't belong only to CLBC. It belongs to all society to help those that are vulnerable and need our help. We need to reach out our hand in a way that is respectful, in a way that we're listening. We need to listen to them to understand what is it that you need. So we need to listen in a different way than we've ever listened before. We need to listen in order to help them. And like Ross said, everybody is unique, everybody is different, and we need to approach it like that. I'm finding working with the people I'm working with, like Jen from the John Howard Pacific region, it's easy because I've dealt with a lot of service providers, and a lot of service providers say, we know how to do this. And the sad fact was they didn't. And you shouldn't be saying that if you don't, but with John Howard, Jen stuck up her hand and said, we don't know, but we're willing to learn. And I think everybody on this panel will say the same thing. We don't know all the answers. We don't have them all. But you won't find a more powerful people working together to figure this out. CLBC is obviously leading the way in this in the entire country, indeed North America. Dave and I have looked all over different provinces, states, and we're way out front. So hats off to them for even, taking this on and doing things outside the box that traditionally we don't do in order to find the answer. That's my greatest hope, is that my daughter can be as interdependent as possible. She's always going to need some sort of help, as we all do, but we are highlighting her strengths. Now she's highlighting her strengths. That's my hope, is that she can live like the rest of us. There's no reason why she can't. We all have weaknesses, we all have strengths. Let's embrace the strengths and let's work with the weaknesses. Thank you.
I'd like to, you may have heard the adage, would I change my kid to suit the world? No. Would I change the world to suit my kid? Yes. And that's partly the journey we're embarking on here. And I'd like to echo some of the sentiment from earlier in the conversation about the necessity of diagnosis. Angel was fortunate, and really it was enlightened self-interest that I've been pushing so hard all these years. She got a diagnosis at about 10, and she was perhaps a little bit too assertive. She could say to people without shame, stigma, or blame, I've got FAS, and if people ever made the mistake, she'd readily correct them. FAS is what I have, it's not who I am, and if you tell me I'm an FASD kid again, I'm going to punch you. So her diplomacy and advocacy has become more subtle because she's front and center. She's working in a deli and serving customers all the time. And so she's become a bit more tactful, but you always know what she's thinking, or she's very direct. And so, like Tim, It's just been an awesome learning curve because they are our mentors and we are on the journey beside them and with them. So thanks, Ange, and thanks, Tim, and thank you guys for organizing this.
That's great, David. Thanks for sharing. I'm just wondering if you could share a little bit more around your hopes for Angel's future and what you see in her future or what she sees for herself.
Well, I hope I don't embarrass her this, but when she was a little girl, she had this idea of traveling around the world. And I was trying to say, yeah, but you're going to have to go to school. You still have to do your homework because you need to make a living. And she said, oh, I don't think so. That's easy. I'll just teach them French. And we said, but Angel.
Oh.
Your microphone's off.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
You lost us. She was teaching people French, or she was going to be teaching people French.
And she did, and so we said to her, but Angel, you don't speak French. And she said, well, that doesn't matter. They won't know. So her plan to fund her global travels was teaching French.
Yeah, I still don't speak French, so.
Is that Angel joining in?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, I love it, Angel. I'm so glad you joined the conversation. I saw you typing away up there and it made my heart so happy.
Oh, well, I'm a little shy once in a while, but yeah.
Oh, I love it. Thank you again for participating by video and now joining online as well.
Angel,
Sorry, thank you.
I hope it's okay, Ange. When she was a little girl, she had a playmate and this child was a little spoiled and sometimes the relationship was up and down. And Hania said to her, you know, we can't be friends anymore because, you know, it's just too difficult. You have a disability. Angel shot back right away. You have a disability too. And Hania said, no, I don't. Yes, you do. You have a disability for sharing. So even as a child, Ange, you had a natural sense of justice to you.
I still do. That's why I think I'll be good for righting the wrongs.
Yeah, I love that you have journalism in your future. I can totally see that for you. You're so well spoken.
Thank you.
Do you have any other hopes for your future that you want to share with us today, aside from being a journalist and going on fancy dinner dates with your husband?
Well, I have 2 rescue cats, so I'm hoping to foster or do more of that later on in life when they're older. One's about to pass on. She's 21. But loving life and trying to hold on. The other one used to be so shy and overweight, but now she's just a big old house cat. So I'm hoping to do more rescuing with cats.
That's great. Is there anything else that you want to share with us around the question that was asked for your dad and to Tim around hopes and fears for the future?
I guess my fear for the future is when my support system's all, you know, old and gone, what am I gonna do? So that's, I guess, well, you know, sort of a fear, but something to laugh about because I've been doing very well for years, and Larry's been preparing me for, my husband has been, you know, teaching me things and getting me ready. He always says I'm not always gonna be here, so. But.
Well, that highlights, I think, one of the important points of why we're gathering today and why we're collaborating and why we're coming together as a community across systems to create awareness around FASD and support. And we're going to hear later on today too about some of the innovative stuff that's been going on service-wise and how we can make services FASD informed and create a more inclusive environment for people with FASD in the future.
Yeah, no, I'd love to be able to bring awareness to just about everybody in the world. Some people's heads are so thick, pardon me, but.
No, as well said. It does require a shift in thinking, doesn't it?
It does, it really does. If there was only a way to have everyone think the way kids and adults do with FASD, it would be way easier.
Yeah, it definitely brings joy and perspective to my world. I appreciate it, and like Tim had said, I'm learning. We're always learning. So, and your dad too. You guys are the mentors.
I love them both dearly, and I'm very happy they came into my life.
So I've got another question
Thanks,
for the
Angel.
parents.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Angel. You're a gift. And a gift to us all.
Aw, I love you.
So I've got another question for David and Tim, and Angel, please feel free to jump in and share your thoughts as well too, because you know, I'd love to hear from you and learn from you, as I'm sure everybody else that's here today would. The question that we've asked is, at any given time, you have a number of different organizations involved in support and planning and providing services, and they might not always be in agreement. As a parent, what works well to keep the spirit of collaboration alive and work through challenging situations?
Well, that's a huge question.
Yeah, loaded question.
So I've been involved with both ends, to be honest with you. When we first started getting support for my daughter, there was a lot of not very good support and collaboration at the beginning. It didn't really change until we kind of started collaborating together, understanding how much we need each other. You know, Ali came with obviously a lot of experience, and I came with a lot of experience as well. That is absolutely valuable, and to support somebody, to find out how they need those supports and stuff like that. So once a collaboration comes into effect, that's when the power starts happening. So, you know, the first service providers, I won't lie, it was hard. The last thing you want to hear, and people could probably resonate with this, if you're in challenging times and you're unable to help your loved one, you don't want to hear false hope. You would rather not have any than somebody saying, hey, we got something that might work or is going to work, or only to find out. You can only do that so many times until you're just down and out. So we went through those times, and I don't think anybody should have to go through those. Times have changed, and we've evolved a lot surrounding this, but we need to evolve a lot further. But having said that, and I talked briefly about it, working with John Howard and people within CLBC who understand, it's like night and day for our family. You know, we healed, my daughter healed, you know, the relationship with her son, she has a son, that healed. With the right supports in place, amazing things happen. But that takes collaboration, that takes honest communication. So through this journey with the John Howard, which has been approximately 6 years, we've had a lot of challenges, but we've always been respectful, and we've always faced those challenges head on. That is really important, that we don't shy away from it. We hit the challenges and we do the best we can. We made a lot of mistakes, but we're willing to learn. We took what we had with the understanding we had, and we took action. That's all you have to do, is take wherever you're at, take action, and away you go. So I think that's the difference, is keeping that spirit up, the honesty, integrity, transparency within all organizations, CLBC, the Asante Centre, John Howard. We all need to talk, and that's what we're doing. Robin brought us all together in this format, in this platform. Yeah, so I also want to say hi to Angel, and thank you very much. My daughter watched your video and it inspired her. So your dad and I have talked a lot, but it was great seeing you, and I've heard a lot about you and nothing but good things. So thank you.
Well, I hope the best for her in her future.
Thank you, Angel.
I hope you don't mind, Angel. I'm going to tell a story now about the very first time my wife was working in child protection, and we met Angel and her brother when they were much younger, and we did transition into the home, and on the, you know, there was a dinner and then there was a day, and when they moved into our home in 1999, Valentine's Day, we were having lunch, and Angel and her brother began to get into it. So I sent Angel upstairs for a 1-minute timeout. And as she ran up the stairs, she yelled back at me, soft shell, you don't know what you're doing. You're supposed to give me 10 minutes. And I remember looking at Grace horrified, and I thought, these kids have way more parenting experience than we did, and I already got a failing grade from a 7-year-old, And so it really taught me humility, because anything you think you know, when I went to my first FASD conference, I realized that it wasn't just all the bad things that had happened. It was also about FAS, and that was an epiphany, and our life changed at home dramatically then. And the second point I'd like to make is, so the first is about being humble, that we are on this journey together, and it's not from in front, it's beside. I was just on a webinar in Ireland, and the team that was doing the diagnosis, who are really leading the way over in Scotland, they ended with the plea and making it known to all the professionals that it has to be parent-led. It is the parents that really know and understand their kids, and the service has to be adapted, and the parents are the interpreters to and for you. And I think Willow Place and Tim's stellar efforts are a magnificent confirmation of that principle. Ange, if you have insights, please do share.
I'm sorry, I was getting the cat's lunch ready. What was that? I'm sorry, I have them both circling my feet, so I look at the clock, it's their lunchtime. I did hear about the story you told about the soft shell. In our other homes, we had gotten more like 30 to 45-minute timeout, sometimes an hour if we had eaten something that wasn't in a meal time. So I was very used to longer than a minute. So 1 minute to me was like, you know, yeah. I do remember that though.
Yeah, no, you guys, David, you and Tim both bring up some excellent points. Tim, about, you know, overcoming and pushing boundaries, and you know, just starting with where you're at and meeting people where they're at, and moving forward. I think that we as service providers face that in our worlds as well. And you know, oftentimes we come up against organizations who maybe don't understand FASD as well, or have a different understanding than we do, and it's important to have those conversations. And that's, you know, is another theme for today, is having those conversations and creating a safe place to talk about FASD. And you know, David, when you mentioned, you know, we have to do it alongside of them, not in front of them, with them behind us, and that's really what we need to do. I know from my experience, I have learned so much working with people with FASD, rather than from textbooks or from conferences. It's from working alongside people and learning about them and from their perspective, and that's really provided me with as much insight as I have.
Well, I don't know if David remembers this, but when we were on Battery Street, I was watching a movie, and I think it was about a child with a disability or something, and I had said to him, well, that kid acts like I do. And I remember him telling me about it when he got older. He had just kind of looked at me with disbelief that I could recognize the fact that there was some similarities between me and this child. And so I just remember that as you were speaking about that just now.
Yeah. Well, that's
Oh, are you surprised I remember that?
Definitely. It was a series that Sterling Claren had made, and they used animal pictures to try and make in comedic form, and I was dumbstruck. We used to go to the library every week because Angel was a pretty hyper, like a hummingbird. And
Yeah.
we hadn't had a look at the video yet. We wanted to see, and she had put it on, and we were not sure that we were going to be comfortable talking about FAS, and without even knowing exactly what it was, the Angel was able to pick her characteristics out from a video about FAS from the University of Washington.
Not even knowing what it was.
I'm amazed, Angel, that you remembered it. Well done.
Thank you. My memory is probably better than an elephant.
It certainly seems that way.
Can I add something in there, Robin, to what you said, because I think it's really important that we understand this. When my daughter was first diagnosed with FASD, she was 19 years old. At that point, I had no idea what FASD was or what it stood for or anything of the like. So I took to go into Google up FASD, see what I can find, and I found a lot. I found a lot of stuff, and then I talked to people. I phoned the Asante Centre, I phoned David, I phoned anybody who would listen to me to help me to understand what do I need to do to, quote, fix my daughter, right? That a very bad way of putting it, but that's what I thought at the time I needed to help fix her. So I looked everywhere. I talked to everybody, and it took me a long time. I looked for experts all over the place, and I finally realized I had an expert sitting right in front of me. Somebody I'd known for 34 years, and that was my daughter. Everything changed for me when I turned my attention to her and said, let me help you to understand your life. It really is that simple. It doesn't have to come from a book. It doesn't have to come from the internet or a bunch of people talking about it. Look at the person that you're helping and give them your undivided attention, and they'll show you the way. They need to be safe, and they need to have the right environment for them to open up, but they absolutely will. It's not only with my own daughter that's happened, with other women with FASD, that must be present. They must feel safe and create an environment where they can grow.
Thanks for adding that, Tim. That's great. That's very important. You know, I think it's important too with having Angel share her voice today and Allie share her voice too, is that they felt safe enough to do so. They were wanting to share with us and with their communities about their skills, about their strengths, about the things that they're good at, and that takes a lot of courage. Public speaking and stuff isn't easy for anyone, right? And then to have somebody who has been highlighted for being different a lot of their lives, to be able to share those differences and feel empowered to share those differences is great. And I think it speaks volumes to what David and Tim are doing in the community to create inclusive communities for their children. I don't know, Angel, do you have anything to add before we go on to the next question about navigating supports, or what you want to tell people about what it's been like for you to navigate support systems?
Well, I guess I was always more so as a child, I really wanted to do things for myself. But first I had to be shown how to do it or have it explained. But most of the time I like to take things apart metaphorically and put it back together. And I guess that's kind of how I figured out myself growing up too, during the little bit of time I was living on my own when I left foster care. And I just, I guess I took myself apart and I put myself back together.
That's a really interesting analogy.
Well, it wasn't, you know, I was very, I was very self-harming as a young child, and I felt very misunderstood. So I guess the best way I can put it is I took myself apart and I put myself back together.
You know, I think that's great, and I think you know, that kind of speaks to what Tim was talking about too, and kind of feeds into our next question around navigating disability, right? For anyone coming to understand themselves and who they are as a person and how they work, right? It does take a lot of that self-reflection, and that's great that you were able to have that insight to do so.
Well, thank you.
I'd like to chip in a bit here. The charity I founded diagnosed 20 women, and it still to this day astounds me that probably 17 of the 20 women either hopped up and gave us a hug or high-fived or whatever. They were excited to receive the diagnosis of FAS, and the theme here is it's something I have, it's not who I am, and I can do something about it. And that will stay with me all my life, is when you give people the insight, then it just becomes another something that they learn how, and you've heard from Angel how she's learned to accommodate and make adaptations and so on. So that again speaks to diagnosis, and in this case, even as adults, it made a huge difference for those women in our clinic. Thanks.
So the next question I have that we've developed is asking a service provider's perspective. So I'm going to ask Jen what she'd want other service providers to know about supporting people with FASD. What does she want to tell them? What would be helpful to share today to other service providers going forward and wanting to work with people with such complex needs that aren't always present?
Thanks, Robin. I really thought about this question, and I could probably spend hours talking to different service providers. about this, but I wanted to just echo a lot of the things that I've already heard from Robin, from Jay, from Tim, from David, from Angel, from Ali, and just acknowledge one of the principles that we stand by, which was part of the theme of this event, was nothing about us without us, right? So that really resonated with me. It made me really understand that service providers or just community we can't understand something like FASD without learning and understanding from the people that live with it every single day, whether it's from the people that have been diagnosed with FASD or people that live with somebody with FASD. I think that was really, really key. So I've spent a lot of time working with the Wendell family, which I find myself quite fortunate and grateful. I feel like I've learned a lot, and there's wisdom. I'm looking at Tim, we're kind of side by side right now, so if I'm looking to my right, I'm looking at him. There's wisdom. What he said to me a few times that really resonated with me was, it's really important to listen to people without wanting to get a result, right? We always expect an outcome. We always expect a tangible result. He said, be in the moment, be with them, learn from them, understand them, be inspired by them. I think those are some of the things that I wanted other people in the community to, whether it's service providers or other families or frontline workers, everyone, just to kind of understand, just be in the moment, learn them, be collaborative in all levels, whether it's with individuals, families, your staff teams, with community, whether it's external, internal. I think that's important. The answer is, like what Tim said to me was, the answer is not always in the result, rather it's the journey and the path it leads to learning and understanding. So I'm appreciative and grateful. And also I wanted to acknowledge the other people that our organization, as well as myself, have had the opportunity to learn from. Most importantly, the people with FASD every single day. I don't know you, Angel. I know you just based on that video, but I want to know you. I want to learn from you. And Ali, I want to continue to learn from Ali. Ali inspires me every day to do the work that we do, because she teaches me things that I didn't know. I thought I knew a lot of things, but apparently I don't know everything, which isn't a bad thing. That just means that I'm open to learning. And that's what I would tell other providers. I would tell frontline workers is communicate, understand, listen, collaborate. When I say collaborate, that means work with the person, work alongside with the person that you're working with. It's funny, as a service provider, we always expect to be the ones to teach, right? We're in a helping profession. We want to teach, but the reality is they're teaching us. We're learning from them, and that's the opportunity. So that's the opportunity that John Howard Society, as well as myself personally, want to share. It's just be in the moment, learn from them, understand them, try differently. If it doesn't work, try differently. Don't try harder, try differently. Just push the boundaries, be creative, understand, do it with them, all those kinds of things. I think I don't have the tools necessarily, but to give every single service provider, those working with people with FASD, but I'm hoping that just the understanding of just continuously learning and collaborating and being adaptable and flexible, and not expecting people to fit a box or fit a program that we have, but to create, to develop, to adapt, be in the moment, and support people as best as we can alongside them. That's what I would say to other service providers. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, it almost brought me to tears. Well, it kind of did. That is why this is working. That is exactly why this is working, because people like that are involved, people that are passionate about making a difference. And Jen, at the level that she's at, executive director, has taken the time to help this and to understand it, but she's also willing to say, I don't understand this, or I don't understand that. We have many conversations more about that than we know. So there's much more unknown than is known, but we're not afraid. We talk at great length about what we need to do, how we can be better. And that thread runs through the entire program from CLBC all the way down to my daughter. And how fortunate is she that she is surrounded by these type of people. Before, I was very lonely, she was very lonely, we had nobody that really understood us, and this world could be very cruel. Now I am ecstatic with the amount of help and things that people have done for her, and it's showing. It shows on her face, it shows on everything she does, it shows with her son. I couldn't be more happy to be associated with the people on this panel, and I realize how fortunate I am, and that's my passion and goal, is to make that available to everyone. Everyone deserves that, you know, and but yeah, I'd just like to really say thank you to Jen and to John Howard for being there, being committed. We've been through many challenges, but never once, not once have we been disrespected or has anyone given up. And there's great staff and yeah, so thank you.
I also wanted to acknowledge this, since we are talking a little bit about Willow Place, I also wanted to acknowledge the staff team, the commitment and the dedication that they put in every single day, as well as the family. So, and also the people that we've had the opportunity to learn from, experts like David Gary, Natasha Lawrence, Tina Antrobus. I think that's really helped us to, you know, continue that learning and that understanding. So we're just very grateful that we as an organization do have those relationships and do have those opportunities. And we hope that there are other service providers out there that also will have those opportunities that we've had.
Thanks. That's great. So for those of you who are newly joining us, John Howard provides residential support for individuals with FASD in a bit of a unique relationship with CLBC, and I'm hoping that you guys could share a little bit about that model of service and that journey.
I think I'm not sure if we should acknowledge it, but I wanted to just acknowledge that, you know, we did go through a bit of a difficult time. Sorry.
Yeah, we've had a lot of challenges, but this started 6 years ago when I was looking for support for Allie because she was going through very tough times with addiction issues and things like that. So on a daily basis, I didn't know whether she was going to make it to the next day. That's the honest thing, right? And I couldn't find any support. And as a parent, when you can't find that support for your loved one, you feel very bad, like you're not doing your job properly. And so many times I felt I was failing her, and I was, right? So I had to find something. So I approached CLBC with an idea. And Jay Birdie believed in me, believed in what we were doing. We were way outside the box of what they were comfortable with. They took a chance on something that wasn't established, wasn't polished. It wasn't, you know, it was just an idea, a very basic idea of helping individuals with addiction issues and FASD. So we brought in some people, and we brought in a service provider. That service provider didn't work out so well, so we joined forces with John Howard, and that seemed to be the difference maker there. And that was in 2015. So we've been operating 5, going into our 6th year. And like Jen said, we've had many challenges, but we've learned. Both girls, my daughter is doing extremely well. She no longer has an addiction issue or anything like that for the last 2 years. So she's doing extremely well, better than I ever could have imagined. Every day is a great day for me. It's like Christmas. Every day she's doing better, because that wasn't always the case. So the strength behind this, I think, is the constant communication between CLBC, John Howard, you know, BC Housing is involved. I try to update people, good and bad, to how things are going, to be honest. We have a job and a responsibility, and I do specifically, to find out how to make this work, both funding, financially, every different way. That's a reality we're dealing with, and we have to work together. And I'm confident with the people that are involved that we will find a way for these individuals because we have to. It simply has to happen. We owe it to those people, and I'm confident we'll find that answer. But in our operations, it's a fun. We create an environment that's great for the individuals in the program, but more importantly, and just as important, I should say, for the staff. The staff are gold mine, right? They do all the hard work and they get the less credit, right? But they're the ones who determine whether it's successful or not. They have cared for my daughter for the last 4 years and they've made a difference. Those are her first real set of friends that she's ever had in her life. You know, people have come and gone, but these people have been in her life, and that's why she's opened up, because she's safe. These people love her. And this is not like a program, it's like a family. We treat each other with respect. We treat each other as family. So if one is hurting or one has made a mistake, we go to their aid, no matter who it is. We don't take on blame or anything like that. A mistake is a learning thing. We're not afraid to make those mistakes. I think that Jen could probably speak on that. If there's a mistake made, we don't condemn somebody, we go to help them. That's all a call. So, and the other important thing is people are willing to ask for help. I think that's the most important thing. If you don't know, it's okay to stick your hand up and say, I don't know, need some help with this. And we'll have somebody there to help you with that.
I think that's key. That's really key to the collaboration piece, is that trust and that transparency. Tim and I were able to do that right from the get-go. We basically called each other out and basically said that we were going to let each other know when we're going in completely different paths and be okay with that. It's about respect and trust. I think we've had that from the get-go, and I think that's why it's worked. So anytime we hit a roadblock, you know, it's tough. Sometimes we need a moment. We're not going to sit here and pretend that every single moment has been perfect, because it really hasn't. But I think what we've committed to is just our commitment and our dedication to move forward, to look at the things that we've learned and how do we utilize the positives, the strengths that we've learned and push it forward. How do we do it differently? How do we acknowledge the fact that what we were doing before is no longer working? So now we have to try again, try differently. And what does that look like? I think that's why that collaboration piece works. But that's just not, like I said, not just collaboration with people external looking in, but that's also collaboration internally. That's amongst your staff teams, whether it's my leadership or whether it's the staff team at Willow Place, whether or not it's the girls. But it's kind of like there's a loop. We close the loop. We do it together. I think there's this famous quote that I like to use. So if I have any of my team members on this, they're probably gonna chuckle a little bit. But I can't remember who said it, but it was do the best that you can with what you know, and when you know more, do better. And that's part of the learning piece. So that really resonates with me. So I always think about that when I'm working with different people, because sometimes it's hard and sometimes it's easier to give up, to be honest. There are moments where it's like, I don't have the answer. I don't think we have the capacity. It's just a lot of work. There are definitely moments of that as a service provider, and I'm sure service providers out there hear me and understand where I'm coming from. But you know what? The risk is worth it. The opportunity is there, the learning, the understanding, the opportunity to support more people, learn about people, and provide that. I think that's really really key. And sharing that knowledge with other people. I think it's finding that hope and that opportunity to do better. So that's.
I can appreciate that, Jen. I know I've always kind of fallen back on a saying, when you know better, you do better, right? And that comes from a place of compassion for working with families and people at different places than you are.
I just wanted to add one more thing that has been really helpful. David Gary, who's been involved with this on the sidelines for 6 years. Without him, I don't know where I'd be. There's a lot of times when I did want to quit and he'd say, why? So he was invaluable to this whole process. He's always been there. We talk often. We talk often, and I just want to put it out there. He does so many things with FASD, and he's my mentor, he's my hero, and I just want to take this opportunity to publicly thank him for all he's done for my daughter and our family.
Thank you, Tim. It's been a privilege working with you, and I look forward to further collaboration.
So just being cognizant of time, we have about 5 minutes left. Angel, do you have anything that you wanna add to today's conversation before we close the panel and close the conversation for today? I'd love to hear your final thoughts.
Well, I don't have too many more thoughts. I'm about to get started with my day because it's my day off, and I waited all morning and watched the countdown of the clock waiting for this today. So I've got things to do today. Not to sound rushy, but I was going to wait until it was over, but I might have to log off here soon. But I hope to say more and have some things planned out to say next time.
That's great. I think I can speak for everyone when I say that we're so happy that you joined in today and you shared today, and that you definitely made my heart happy. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I was debating whether or not I should share anything or not, or just listen in.
Oh, so glad you did. Your perspective is much appreciated.
Wonderful, Ange. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, thank you to all of you. You've been amazing, and I think this was a hit today.
You are definitely a star of the show.
Oh, well, my 7 minutes of fame were amazing. Thank you.
Can I, Ange, I'm going to quote you from the past. There was a period of time when, well, let's say there was a hiccup at school and we had to have a family meeting over breakfast. And Angel stormed out the door, didn't want to take on what we were saying, and then she came back up the stairs and opened the back door, popped her head in the back door into the kitchen and yelled at us. That's the problem with you people without FASD. That was yesterday. This is today. Don't you have a life?
You know what? I still think that about people that won't let go of yesterday's news. And sometimes I even do it. My husband's like, that's yesterday's news, even if it was 5 minutes ago, right?
I love it. All right. Well, I want to thank all of the panel members today for sharing and speaking about FASD and their passions and yeah. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jay and John just to close the loop for today and before we adjourn. Sorry, John.
Just me, I guess he doesn't want to say anything. I would echo Robin's comments about thanking everyone, staff and for attending, but particularly those outside our organization, our partners, David, Anne Marie, Caitlin, Holly, Jenna, Rachel, Stephanie, Tracy, Vishal, and particularly Angel. Thanks very much, Angel, again for participating today. And thanks to Robin and Jay for pulling this together. Rob, you obviously carried the water in the organization of this, so thanks very much for that. A couple of things jumped out for me in the comments today. Very much about possibilities, opportunity, and understanding, and how it's really important for us not to fall into the preconceived traps, particularly associated with FASD, but with disabilities overall. And it was really good to be reminded of great work that's going on out there, and the change that's happened since I was first involved. As I said, I'm dating myself, but 40 years ago initially with FASD issues, and how different it is now and how much progress we've made. I was also reminded that there is still that particular stigma that hangs around FASD, and that bit of our day-to-day battle, and maybe a reminder for all on this International FASD Awareness Day to remind ourselves that we've become very educated and we're at the heart of it, and many of us working closely with FASD issues, not to lose our vigilance around reminding ourselves that we're educators for everybody and to address that stigma issue. So thanks again to everyone. Great, really great session. So I look forward to next year. Get the planning underway, would you, Robin? Gee.
We're working on it. It's just the beginning.
Yeah, and so hi, this is Jay Birdie. Once again, on behalf of CLBC and particularly South Fraser region, wanted to take the time and once again say thanks to this wonderful planning team. From day one, they took this initiative and then brought us together. And my particular thanks are to Robin for keeping this process moving forward. Just one image which comes to my mind as we were having the conversation is the image of the house. As some of you may have seen, the house has a roof. The roof represents visions of the organizations, right? And then there are walls. Walls represent policies, processes, and the culture, those kind of conversation. But the key thing is the foundation, right? And if you don't have the foundation, then it doesn't matter, how solid the walls are, right? You're not going to be able to achieve the vision. So I just wanted to thank, Ellie, Angel, their parents, John Howard Society, all frontline staff of the agency as well as the CLBC, right? And our executive for creating this trusting environment, right? To build the trust. Some of the things that we have heard from both parents as well as from Jen, that there will be times when we don't have the answers, right? But if we have that trusting environment, we'll work together. So once again, I wanted to thank all of you for helping us to strengthen that foundation. And as we move forward, we will have a solid foundation to work from. So with that note, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. That wraps up today. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your work, Robin. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.